Hi folks, welcome back to the Horde. So, about 32 degrees outside. It is, Friday. It is January 30th, minus 0.8 degrees centigrade. I don't know, somewhere around 2:30, 2:45. See the little green light on, so my Energizer's all up to charge. We got a little sunshine this morning, which was nice. We also got another, 2-3 inches of snow, probably 3. Yeah, I would call it 3. Anyway, worked last night and got off a little early because I have a wake to go to today. My Aunt Joni passed, so then a funeral tomorrow. And even with that, seeing as we got snow, that means you got to shovel snow, right? You can't just ignore it. They're saying, and one never knows what this means, that there might be another snow event for Monday. What do they mean by that? God knows. It could be anywhere from the dusting that this 3 inches was to 14 feet, or 7 feet, or whatever they got in Buffalo that they didn't predict correctly either. So anyhow, you can see the driveway's all nice and clean, which is good. You guys know, got 2 projects going. I'm smashing the engine onto this thing, the 200S motor onto the 200X, and I ordered a 200X intake manifold. I got a good deal on it, $20 delivered. I think it was 20. Yeah, I think it's $20 delivered. So I ordered that. One of my subscribers, and I'm going to screw up, ATC something. Anyway, I have my memory shot. It's the whole working nights thing that kills your short-term memory. But anyway, he said that if I smash a 200X intake manifold on there, the carburetor will go right on, so that's a good thing. So anyway, that's that project. The golf cart. I'm kind of switching gears with the golf cart. My plan was to put this engine on, right? The Intertek, and the transmission for forward and reverse. So I would have forward and reverse, 5 speeds, and a torque converter. But the problem I notice is this torque converter is dragging a little bit, which means it's always going to hit gears, which means that I'm going to be the only one who's able to drive it, and eventually, even with that, it'll beat up on the transmission. And, I don't want to go through all this trouble of building the thing then have the problem of beating up on the transmission because it's always dragging a little bit. So I'm moving away from that. Oh, and the other problem is I would have to have the transmission kind of sideways, which it's not meant to sit. I don't know if it makes all that much difference. I watched a couple of videos, and once again I forgot the guy's name, who put out a really good video on the 5-speed transmission. And according to his video, if you put the proper seals in and so forth, you can kind of put it on its side. Anyway, so basically I moved away from that. I said, no, I don't want that. But then I do want it to go backwards. I want it to have reverse. Reverse is very important to me. 5 speeds forward, not so important. But the ability to go backwards and forwards, very important. So, as usual, I was cruising eBay, and somebody had this is a TRX 200 SX engine. It's a quad engine, and it's got reverse, which is a very good thing. So it's 5-speed and reverse, 200 cc's. It's a lot like, not quite, but a lot like the 200S motor. I think the 200S motor is a little bit stronger. For anybody who's had one of these or runs across one of these bikes, it's complete. You're going to buy it. They always have damage on the case where the sprocket goes. Always. I'm not sure if they were a little flimsy in the back or the bearings went bad in the back or what the story was, but they had a tendency to throw the chain, and once they threw the chain, you would end up with a little hole in the case right there. I mean, a little JB weld, you kind of stuff it in there. You do it in such a way that your JB weld doesn't, you don't end up with little particles of JB weld floating throughout your case, obviously, because that's not good for anything. But a little JB weld, and that fixes up the leak, and then all is good. Anyhow, so my plan is to smash this into the golf cart, and I guess my thought process more or less ran like this. By the time I get the transmission mounted, and it's not quite what I want, and all that other stuff, I figured for $50, this motor was a good deal. The only problem was it was $50 for motor and another $62 for shipping. Then it came in at 82 pounds, so he couldn't ship it U.S. Postal Service, so he had to ship it UPS, the brown truck. Those guys. So when he shipped it UPS, they ended up smashing him for 90. I think it was 64, and they smashed him for 96. So he basically, contacted me and said, "Hey, you got a choice. You can send me another $32 shipping, or I'll send you a refund." And forget the whole deal, because obviously if he sold the motor for only $50, including the recoil starter, you can see the recoil starters on it and the electric starters on it, and supposedly it's a runner. You never know until you fire them up and actually hear them run, but supposedly it's a runner. But the recoil starter and the electric starter alone are worth more than the $50. They probably would have been worth than the more or less $100 it cost me to ship it. But those two pieces alone are not worth $150. The top end looks good, right? I don't see any damage on the intake here, right? You always check the intake. He did take the piece that goes there. The exhaust, you can see one stud, and the other one looks good. I think I see a little red death down there by one of the bolts. I got to get it out of there, fire it up, see if it's any good before I could pronounce happy or sadness, right? Anyway, that's what I'm going to put on here. I'm going to go through the trouble. It is going to be a little more work, but I am going to go through the trouble of mounting that thing up and get it on the EZGO. I think it'll just be a lot more fun to ride with the 5-speed and reverse, and I'm going to leave the differential intact for as long as it lasts, because that's got a lot more horsepower than 2 horsepower the electric motor had. So and with the transmission you can bang the rear end pretty good, so I'm not sure how long the rear end will actually last with that. So eventually I might have to put in a bar axle, a straight axle, a live axle, and pin the 2 wheels together so that it's no longer has a differential. But as long as it has the differential, it should actually be kind of fun to drive around, right? Put a decent sized set of tires on it, jack up the back, and actually have it so that it could do donuts and so forth. It should be a fun kart. Obviously it's going to take a while. With all this winter weather and clearing snow and wakes and funerals, I have too many people checking out on me here. I haven't been moving forward at any kind of decent rate. Sorry about that. During the winter it's hard. we just crossing into February once again for my area. Normally it's the last week of January that's kind of the worst, the last 2 weeks of January. But if you want to put 2 weeks around the coldest day, you figure the last 2 weeks of January and the first 2 weeks of February are your real cold days. Then after that, you start getting a bit of a break. If the sun comes out at all, quite honestly, if it's not behind clouds, you can already feel the difference, and the sun melts things down pretty good. You can see how easily it keeps my battery charged in the upper garage. So I'm basically hoping the weather improves and I could start moving a little faster on all this stuff, not spend all day shoveling and then setting up, which means now it's time to shut down for the day, right? So I'm hoping to move things along a little better. Anyway, folks, I want to thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing. Please continue to do all of those, right? Love the comments, so please keep them coming, even if I'm not madly in love with them. And by the way, I'm not bipolar, for the guy who asked. Occasionally a little borderline, maybe a little manic depressive, but not bipolar. What else? I guess that's it. Guys, keep your feet down. Keep your head up, and remember to enjoy all your days. And take care of yourselves, right? Enough funerals. Don't need any more. Bye now.